Books are a joy and blight, day and night, a bane, a strain, the rain that washes a soul caked with mud. And in this moment, books were strewn everywhere about the library. James Morgan scowled at the mess of titles cast askew over his massive desk. He was close, by Jove, a hair's breadth away. But to what? Another defeat? Or, God, please, a victory? It wasn't so much a prayer as a desperate exhale. Rising from his chair, he sidestepped a tower of leather-bound tomes leaning against the coal scuttle, then bypassed a sofa so thickly covered with medical journals that even if by some great miracle a caller wished to converse with him, there was no place to sit. He pulled down the last book on the highest shelf he could reach without using the ladder. Felonium Pharmaceuticum et Chirurgicum de Merentis Omnibus, cum internus, tum externus, humani corpus affectibus. He tapped the spine, thinking hard. This could be it. Would you like a pot of tea before you retire, my lord? He clutched the book and faced Sala, his butler, steward, everything but cook and housemaid, and, somewhat pathetically, his sole companion in the world. James frowned. What a heartless lot he'd drawn in life, with none but a tightly buttoned servant who wore a perpetual scowl to claim as his exclusive confidant. Though truly, Sala's fate wasn't much better, locked into a position handed down by previous generations, serving a family rumored to be vampires. Not that James did anything to extinguish such poppycock. Solitude was a small price to pay to pursue his research in peace. No need for refreshment, Sala. Though, with any luck, I shall not be retiring. He waved the book through the air. As you wish, my lord. Sala's face was lost to the lamplight while he dipped his head and backed from the room. As soon as he disappeared, James thudded the book on his desk and flipped open the cover. He should have thought of looking through these pages long before tonight. Skimming past the first several chapters, he ran his finger down one column of information, then another and another, until finally he stopped and narrowed his eyes. Glucose? Could it be? Sugar was far too simple an ingredient, but one he'd not tried in combination with his current solution. Absently, he rubbed the side of his throat. Perhaps he'd been a fool for overlooking the ordinary. God, please. This time the words groaned out of him audibly. He slammed the book shut and fled the room. Air cold as a crypt slipped in through the front of his gaping banyan, lifting goose flesh on his bare chest. Even in August, castles were notoriously chilly. His mother's family fortress was no different. Wall sconces flickered against all manner of ancient weapons adorning the walls, blurring them into a streak as he strode across the great hall, which wasn't so great anymore. Far too many decades of misuse had collected like cobwebs. When had these stone walls last heard laughter? Well, they would tonight, if his instinct was correct. With a renewed spring in his step, he entered the study-turned-laboratory, grateful to see the tea tray he'd abandoned hours ago had not yet been removed. He grabbed the sugar bowl and set to work. 20 minutes later, he held a syringe up to eye level and studied the clear liquid inside, just as he had countless times before this night. Would this truly be any different? His gaze drifted to the rabbits nosing about the food trough in their cage. He really ought to test the solution on them first to make sure the ingredients were safe. But he felt so sure, so right about this remedy. And he was running out of time. He plunged the thick needle into the side of his neck,